We live in the era of SUVs and crossovers, in a super competitive market with so many options to choose from, but not all of them hit the mark. While some models stand out with style, practicality, performance, and overall value, others leave much to be desired, whether it's about outdated design, underwhelming performance, or reliability issues. Therefore, make sure to stay with us and find out what are the 5 worst and 5 best SUVs to buy this year. Let's start with the bad ones, those that are definitely not worth your money and trust. Number 5. VW Taos. Volkswagen's entry-level crossover has just been refreshed. It has updated styling, a new infotainment screen, more power, and much more. With other qualities in mind, such as spacious and practical cabin, the VW Taos definitely looks like a natural choice for many, but only until you check its dark side. Namely, not only that it's more expensive than most of the competition, but it is also the least reliable. According to Consumer Reports, it is the second least reliable vehicle on the entire market, with the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid as the only vehicle placed below it. Believe it or not, it just earned 1 star for reliability and customer satisfaction, the lowest score possible. Apparently, issues are numerous, starting from brakes that wear out after just 10,000 miles, in-car electronics, and some pretty serious engine and transmission problems, with many customers complaining about the engine stalling, inconsistent power delivery, and lack of refinement. Number 4. Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. Somehow it's still hard to digest the fact that once an engaging sports coupe has become a crossover, but that's just a fraction of the problem we have with this car. Its funky coupe crossover design, which along with the famous nameplate indicates driving engagement, is probably the only thing to like about it, along with the attractive price. But once you sit behind the steering wheel, you realize that there's nothing engaging about it. The handling and steering are quite disappointing, just like the engine, which is refined but definitely needs more power because pretty much every classmate is quicker. The CVT doesn't help either, while the average fuel economy of 25 mpg city and 28 mpg highway is definitely below segment standards. Furthermore, like most other Mitsubishi products these days, the Eclipse Cross features an outdated interior design, wrapped mostly with hard plastics and other low-rent materials. While the sloping roof doesn't have a particularly great impact on cargo space and overall practicality. Number 3. Nissan Murano. There aren't many reasons to buy Murano. It may be smooth and comfortable, it's outdated in many ways, starting from the exterior design. Things seem even worse on the inside, with a dashboard that definitely belongs to the previous era of car design. The 3.5-liter V6 has decent power, but unfortunately, it comes with CVT. Even worse than the noisy and unrefined transmission is the steering wheel, which feels too vague and doesn't offer any road feedback. At the same time, the Murano is not a cheap SUV, so the best piece of advice we can give you is to avoid it. Number 2. Infiniti QX50. Infinity's coupe crossover looks very stylish, and it comes standard with all-wheel drive, but that's where the good things about it end. If you look at what else the QX50 has to offer, it's a bit of a letdown in almost every aspect, starting from the interior design, which doesn't come even close to the fancy exterior appearance. It looks older than its rivals, while materials and build quality are not particularly impressive either. Still, the amount of rear passenger space and cargo room are decent for something with a sloping roof. But the biggest disappointment is the performance. With such styling, you would expect way more driving engagement, but the QX50 handles poorly and the steering is unbelievably vague. Finally, there's the powertrain, a 2.0-liter Turbo 4 with 268 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. The engine itself feels peppy, but it's criminally undermined by some of the worst CVT transmissions on the market. Number 1. Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. What to say about the Outlander Sport? Other than the extended warranty and standard all-wheel drive, there isn't much good about it. Simply, it's way too old. The company did a few updates, but that doesn't change the fact that we are talking about a design that's been around for about 15 years. And while the exterior looks fairly attractive, the cabin is a completely different story, with outdated aesthetics, tons of hard plastics, and an ancient infotainment system. On top of that, there's underwhelming performance, with a couple of lethargic and naturally aspirated engines and one of the least refined CVT transmissions around. The standard all-wheel drive does provide an extra grip, but there isn't much athleticism in its chassis, while the steering is vague. Fuel economy is below average too, so altogether, there's a pretty long list of clear reasons why we think this is the worst SUV you can buy these days. Now that we've checked SUVs you should definitely avoid, let's focus on some of the best models today's market has to offer. Number 5. Honda CR-V. The CR-V doesn't need a special introduction, considering that we are talking about the second best-selling SUV on the market. And as the current model has been around for long enough, we can definitely say it's the most complete generation yet, and definitely the most well-rounded compact SUV on today's market. Because it's really hard to find anything to complain about. The ride is smooth and refined, while handling feels quite composed. Traditionally, the CR-V has one of the biggest cabins in the segment, while the interior is characterized by a nice selection of materials and solid build quality. Even the CVT works pretty well, while both gas-only and hybrid powertrain offer decent acceleration and very good fuel economy. If there's a thing to complain about, we could mention a slightly higher starting price compared to rivals, but with all the qualities in mind, we can hardly call it a drawback. Number 4. Genesis GV70. Genesis makes some of the best luxury cars around, and that's no surprise anymore to anyone. And if we are about to point to one of the SUVs this brand offers, that would probably be the GV70, a compact crossover that obliterated the German Trinity with its attractive price and everything it gives in return. First of all, the cabin looks very stylish and comes with plenty of advanced tech features. The amount of passenger and cargo space is pretty generous too, but what we like the most is the powertrain. Its base Turbo 4 puts out 300 horsepower, more than most rivals in their base variants, while the optional V6 stands out with 375 horsepower. Besides quite impressive driving dynamics, the GV70 also offers a perfect balance between comfort and athleticism. Add to this the fact that it's more generous with standard equipment than pretty much every classmate, and there is no need to further explain why this SUV ranks so high on our list. Number 3. Mercedes-Benz GLS. Today's full-size luxury SUV segment is full of amazing cars, but Mercedes continues to lead the pack with its GLS, which is pretty much an S-Class in the world of SUVs. It's large and spacious, just like any other model in the class, but what truly sets it apart is the ride quality. Super refined, pretty much as smooth and comfortable as in the case of the legendary full-size sedan. And unlike body-on-frame rivals like Escalade and Navigator, there is almost no body roll, meaning that the GLS can be pretty engaging to drive as well. Perfectly balanced handling is complemented by a pretty impressive powertrain lineup that starts with a turbocharged 6-cylinder unit with 375 horsepower. That's plenty enough to move this massive SUV with ease, while the optional V8 with 510 horsepower takes everything to the next level. If even that is not enough for your appetite, there's the AMG badged model as well, with over 600 horsepower. Put that together with state-of-the-art tech features, and you get easily one of the best SUVs you can buy on today's market. Number 2. Toyota Land Cruiser. After a short break, Toyota brought back the Land Cruiser to American shores, and this time, it's right-sized, with a more approachable price and better than ever. It looks amazing, and that exterior is followed by more than adequate cabin design and quality. The new Land Cruiser is quiet, composed, and super refined. But does that mean compromises in terms of off-road performance? Apparently not, because this is one of the most capable off-roaders on the market, with a well-balanced mix of traditional mechanic and modern electronic off-road aids. Toyota has found a sweet spot and made the most versatile SUV on the market, as no other model, including even the Land Rover Defender, mixes on and off-road manners in such a nice way. Add to that Toyota's reputation for reliability, and it's clear why this is one of the best SUVs you can buy today. Number 1. Kia Telluride. The Telluride has been around for quite a long time, but it still impresses everyone with its qualities. Because even though there are competitors that are younger, no classmate is a better value. The Telluride is affordable, but gives so much in return, starting from a very long list of standard equipment and some of the nicest and most spacious cabins in the class. Then there is the ride quality, in a sweet spot between comfort and athleticism, complemented by a refined V6 engine that may not have the low-end punch like some turbocharged classmates, but definitely feels smoother. Even the transmission works very well, so overall, you will hardly find a better SUV for the money. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.